Okay, so today what I'd like to do is give you guys a quick glimpse of the future of the new CMBox platform. Now, I announced this about 7 months ago on the Bitmap Bytes blog, a new platform that the Fishbowl Solutions team have built up to essentially replace Oracle Content Management with its end of life for 2025. If you haven't seen it, take a look at both my blog as well as Fishbowl Solutions website, where they've got a demo of its CMS capabilities. But essentially what the team over at Fishbowl Solutions have done is they've taken OCM, they've taken the user experience, they've taken the architecture and have rebuilt it from the ground up so that if you're familiar with Oracle Content Management, you can easily migrate all of your assets across from OCM into CMBox and have a familiar user experience where you can just continue your day-to-day work using the new platform. So on the left here, I've got Oracle Content Management, which we're all familiar with. And what I'm going to do is show you some of the new features and how we're actually looking at enhancing the CMBox user experience for editors. And what you can see here is our asset management screen. So very similar to OCM in that we've got our standard asset cards in the center. You've got your ability to switch to different repositories. You've got your filtering capabilities, your search, the ability to create new asset types, and the standard navigational panel on left here. So if we take a quick look at CMBox here, we've got our repository switcher at the top here. We've got our home, which is our assets management landing screen. We've got our CMS site builder here, and then the administration area for creating new repositories and content types. And then at the bottom, user settings and general configurations. So with that said, on the left here, we've got our, what we consider our grouped content region. So this allows us to quickly drill into assets and content items very easily. So if I just start off at the top here, we've got a quick access where I can filter documents owned by myself, shared with me, my favorites, or access the trash. We've got the folders capability where I can drill in just as I would with Windows Explorer and see my grouped assets within a folder structure. We have standard grouped collections, so you can group content items together. We've got tagging, and then finally taxonomies. Now, when it comes to taxonomies and folders, they work very differently in terms of taxonomies have categories, and within categories you can have the same assets duplicated across with a single reference. So the way in which this works actually is, at the moment I'm in the home folder here. You can see my breadcrumb navigation at the top, but if I was to drill into taxonomies, it would flip out of the folder structure and go into the taxonomies structure. The same with tags. So if I start tagging items and I went in and started filtering on those tags would appear next to the folder structure or the taxonomy structure that I've defined in the header. Now, all of these are designed, as you can see, we've kind of got this panel styled interface where at the moment I've got three regions: a header, a sidebar, and a main content asset region. Now, the reason we've done that is that going forwards, we're going to provide a embeddable, customizable user interface that you're going to be able to import into your intranet, portal, website, and reuse or expose a lot of these capabilities directly in there without having the user need to go to the CMBox website. Part of that, we've enhanced the ability to select assets. So previously, if we go to OCM, you used to have to either select items manually or you would be able to select all of your assets. Now with CMBox, you can easily drag and select have your actions appear as a context menu, or alternatively drag and drop these items into a folder in your folder panel on the left here. Next thing that I wanted to show you is, as part of the cards, we've got some custom cards or some custom asset types. So the new asset types that will be in the platform will be a folder, as well as the ability to comment. So folders are essentially a standard asset type, which display on your right here and allow you to drill into your content items and your folder structure. And then comments allow you to provide commenting against different assets and the ability to tag different regions within the asset. Now, we've still got the capability to filter. So if you remember in OCM, we've got this kind of panel down here, which allows you to swap between collections, swap between your different asset types and filter your asset types, and then also flag up what status of the asset type you want to filter by. So if we go back into CMBox here, you can see if I select the filter, it's going to replace the nav panel and allow me to filter against that nav structure. Now, I'm already in the home field, so what it's going to do is going to basically allow me to filter on that data within my home region. So first of all, we've got the capability to toggle by types. So these are all different asset types that I've got here in the left-hand pane. And you can also see how many assets exist. So in the slot asset type, we've got 2 items, and I can turn that on or off. Underneath, we've got this new concept called toggle display fields, and I'll show you that in the next screen. Below that, we've got this filter results by. So this allows us to toggle by those status items. So, and then as part of that, you can also see the color scheme. So all of these items you can see here, they've got a small blue box, which means that they're currently published. And then finally, we can query down or filter these results down by queries. So here you can see I've selected a slot, but then in that slot, I could find a field name. I can choose the operator, contains, matches, and I can put in the value there. And then I could add another field and break that down even further. So if I open up, and let's have a look at this toggle display panel again. So I've gone into the slot. I've then expanded the accordion menu, and you can see here I've got a bunch of fields. Now, on toggling the display of those fields, it's displaying the metadata associated against that asset. And so you'll see now within each of these cards across the top here, because I've decided to enable them, they're now displaying as metadata fields that I can go in and I can quickly toggle and edit the value of the field. So I'm no longer going, let's say we select this asset and we select edit. I'm no longer having to go across into the metadata field, find the data and update the data, and then save and go back into OCM. What I can simply do is choose the fields I want to edit. I can see all my asset types, and then if I wanted to quickly tweak titles, I can do that directly within this view here. The next thing is, again, let's go back to query results here. So here you can see I filtered by blog post. I've added the field that I want to filter against, title. I want it to contain fishbowl. And then I've also said, actually, I also want the author to contain, and then the author's username. So T. Grudel, for example. And what I can do is I can also add additional types. So I don't have to just filter by a single type. I can add more types, and I can move these fields around as needed. We've also got the ability to change the display view. So if I click on the display interface, we can toggle between a list view or a card view. So here's our list view, and again you can see that I have the ability to easily drill into the folders, and these are all asset types. So I can just click on the brand collateral and it'll take me directly into that folder. Same as before with the cards, we can still drag and drop and do multi-selects very easily. We can also have context menus that appear when we right click to provide additional actions against those asset types. Now, when it comes to assets, we've enhanced this even further. We didn't want the users to go out to different regions, different pages. Essentially, we wanted to bring all of that content into a single view. So when I select a card here, and this is a video asset type, when I click on that, what it happens is I get an additional 2 panels display. I've got my title here with a rendition, which I can easily drop down and swap between multiple renditions, the ability to quickly download that asset, or I can review and I can play the asset directly on screen. Now, when it comes to updating and editing metadata, I have this ability to easily toggle on the metadata field, and you'll see it splits into 2, and then here are all of my asset type fields that I can quickly and easily customize. Now, what we also have as part of this is we're not fixing the views, because obviously everyone has different resolutions, but we have the ability to customize and allow you to have a dragger to increase or decrease the different panels. So you'll be able to scale up or scale down different regions of this interface by hovering over the splitter plane and then selecting and holding on the dragger to move down or collapse a panel by itself. Now, when it comes to documents, I've got here an example OCM PDF. So I've clicked on the asset, it's bringing back the asset pane view. I've opened up the asset metadata that you can see below. Now, there's times when you don't have as much real estate available on your screen. So we've looked at how we can enhance that and change things about a bit. So first of all, let's move this metadata next to the document panel. And what we can do is click on that, and now you can see our document is here on the left. We've got our metadata now on the right, but I'm still limited with how much space I've got. Now I can always drag things across, or alternatively, what I can do is you'll see we've got these kind of panel splitters across the top there. So with Oracle Content Management, we had this kind of single pane that would kind of fly out. Now we're reusing that concept, and we're allowing users to kind of toggle on and off different panels. So for example, let's toggle those back on. So we've got a navigation panel on the left. We've got this kind of renditions and properties panel on the right. And so by toggling these two things off, it gives me more space that I can now see the document. I can see the asset that I've selected, and I can update the metadata. There's also the ability to expand. So if I'm still struggling for space, I can always click the expand out, and you'll see that the asset selection is gone, and those 3 panels that we had down here in the middle have now expanded out to be full screen. I can also collapse that back down, and then we've got back our asset selector, and if I wanted to bring back the navigational model, we can click that sidebar here. So the other thing that we've got is obviously you can easily split to a list view, and this is great. So now we're no longer having to go from page to page. We've got access to our other documents which we can easily click through and preview and update the metadata on the fly. Previously with OCM, there was always this kind of journey where you'd click, wait for something to load, update it, click, return back and click it. But now we have the ability to just select your assets as you want and view them in line on the page. Now, we've also introduced Gen AI to the platform. So there's a new Gen AI button at the top here, which brings back our standard chat interface where we can talk to our chatbot. So if I click on, actually, let's unpin the panel on the right here. And what it does is it shrinks down that panel, removes that panel, gives me full access to all of the assets, and I see the chat interface down the bottom. So if I click on that, we've got our micro chat widget displayed. I can chat away with the chatbot in this, talking about the documents here. But what I also have the ability to do is have a split view where I can see my previous chats, and I can also see related documents to the chat stream that I've had, where the generative AI may have taken data from these documents and used them within its response. So let's look more, let's unpin pin back the chat interface back into the side panel here. And what I've got here is the asset view of some content. I'm creating an overview or blog post on Oracle Digital Assistant. Now, what I can do here is ask the question, can you create an engaging post on ODA? And so what it'll do is it'll go ahead, create that content for me, and then I can easily copy and paste that content from my split panel directly into this region, and then save the asset down, or make some tweaks and adjustments and then save it. I also have that ability to split the panels into two portions. So here you can see there's my chat history, but if I wanted to, I can click on the related documents down here. Now we're still working on this and looking at different ways to further optimize this, but one of the other things is we're thinking of allowing the ability to expand this panel out so that you have full access to the chat interface. And again, because this is an embeddable experience, you can take this and put it straight into your website and have a chat interface directly in there, and customize it so that maybe you don't want users to have access to go from a generative AI chat interface to a content management platform. So this is the advanced view, and so you may see some tabs down the bottom. These are just related tabs to conversations that I've had, so it makes it easier for me to kind of spread out my work stream of conversations and then click back to maybe a previous conversation I've had very easily within this panel. Or alternatively, I can click on the simplified view and then it shrinks it down. I'm just interested in my current conversation and to have a conversation with generative AI. Now on the admin side, we've made a few tweaks here. So if I click on the admin link, and this is the CMBox admin panel, and I'm in the content types area here. So let's have a quick look at OCM, and we'll go into the asset type region. You'll see that we've got all of our asset types. Now, one of the downsides that we discovered using this approach is once you start building up lots and lots of repositories and start increasing the amount of asset types you have, there was no easy way to filter. You'd have to kind of paginate your way through these asset types. And quite a few times there were similar asset types that you wouldn't even know which repository that asset type belonged to, and you'd have to flip back into repositories and check out where that asset type belonged. Now, what we've done to enhance that is we've provided an additional filter across the top here, so you can search by name and filter by all of your asset type fields. But what you can also do is filter by the repository of that asset type. So for example, I can select from the drop-down list, and you'll see this asset type configuration called blog posts is held within 3 different repositories: Fishbowl, Accounts, and Marketing. And so what that allows me to do is select my repository and allows me to view that asset type, see what other repositories it belongs to, and then quickly customize and tweak it. Now, in terms of editing, it's the same approach as you saw on the previous interface. We can click into an asset type, and you'll see our configuration panel on the right here. So we've got a movable grouped fields container, and this is where you can put your label for your fields, and then a droppable region where you can drag and drop your available types into this area here, and you can also create additional group fields below it. Now, as part of this, we also provide the ability to have a preview, so you can see what you're moving across into these different regions when you start creating your asset type form. If you want the classic view, you can also switch this and toggle this off so that you can then start seeing all of your different field types that you can drag and drop into this region. So if we go back to OCM and we'll just go into one of the asset types. Once it loads, here we go. So here's my group field that I can move about, and then below here are all of my different data types or field types. So we've done exactly the same, and if I click on the preview, you can see that once I start dragging and dropping, I can actually preview now how the form would look to the end user once they start, or the end editor, once they start using it to update content fields. So that was just a kind of a quick glimpse of where we're taking the new CMBox platform. There's still a lot to do. We're still talking to a number of customers, showing them the interface and enhancing this. But we're hoping in the next 3 to 6 months that this new user experience will be in place for you guys to play with.